you ever struggle with falling into lust and going through that repetitive cycle over and over again? Well, these 3 biblical tips help me, and hopefully it could also help you. In this video, I just want to explain to you how to defeat lust with 3 simple tricks. First one, we're just going to get straight into it. Find the trigger and cut it off. As said in Matthew chapter 5, verse 29, if your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and cast it from you, for it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish than for your whole body to be cast into hell. This is very serious because Jesus is saying that things that lead into sin and trigger you to sin, it's better to cut it off than to fall into that sin and be casted into hell. It's not exactly saying verbatim to cut off your hand or pluck out your eye. It's just showing you the seriousness of what it means to cut off the trigger of that sin. There's many triggers to lust and falling into lust. And one that I noticed about myself was when I would lay in bed for very long periods of time doing nothing, I would suddenly feel the urge to fall into temptation of lust. And all of us have different triggers. And I realized that I had to cut off that trigger. So I had to shift my habits to cut off that trigger by not laying in bed for so long in idleness. Doing that helped me cut off and shift away from falling into lust. This also jumps me towards the next point I want to make as well, which is staying away from idleness and being busy and worthwhile with your time as well. I don't know if y'all remember, but in 2 Samuel, King David fell into lust with Bathsheba. As you know in the story, King David sent his men off into war, and he was supposed to go out to war as well, but he then decided to stay back and just lay in his temple in idleness. And while being in that idleness, he fell into lust. He looked out his window and he saw Bathsheba, and he fell into the temptation because he wanted her for himself. That struggle of being in idleness and not doing anything worthwhile is also slothful and laziness. You know what I mean? And that is one of those triggers that I realized for myself also led into lust. This is a perfect example of cutting off a certain trigger and also being more worthwhile of your time so that you're not led into lust. The third thing I want to point out is the most important thing, honestly, and it's pressing more into God. As said in Psalms chapter 37, verse 4, it says, "Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart." Delighting in the Lord is having joy and feeling enlightened when you're spending time with God, just being in the secret place and immersing in his presence. Doing this, it just brings more urgency and more desire to be with God and spend time with God. The more you do it in repetition, the more you get filled with his goodness. And then that will ultimately change the desires in your heart. Naturally, you would want to stop sinning and falling into lust. Naturally, you would want to veer away from those type of habits. Naturally, it will happen as you press more into God. And doing that is easier said than done, but it's truly beneficial. Trusting in God and spending more time with him, I truly believe is the utmost importance in our walk with Christ. Defeating lust with this alone, just pressing more into God, would completely defeat lust, in all honesty. even if you didn't do the first two things, doing this last one, which is pressing more into God, will naturally lead into the first two, because you have God as your ultimate guidance and God as your ultimate source, firm foundation. He is your true delight and your joy when you spend more time with Him as you get filled more with His goodness. These are the three biblical ways that has helped me defeat lust, and hopefully it'll help you as well. Without further ado, I hope this video has helped you, and if it has, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I said subscribe and subscribe. God bless in Jesus' name.